Well, come on in the room. You've just stepped into a space where healing meets truth, wisdom meets experience, and soul care is always on the agenda. Hello, I'm Dr. Antoinette Marie Williams, transformation speaker, author, and your guide on this journey to wholeness and well-being. Each week, we'll pull up a chair, pour into one another, and unpack real-life conversations about healing, growth, relationships, faith, and family, and the beauty of becoming. This isn't just a podcast, it's a sanctuary. So take a breath, relax your shoulders, and come on in the room with Dr. Antoinette Marie Williams. Well, hello there. Hello there, family. This is a wonderful day. Today is Saturday again. I hope that you are doing extremely well. So come on in the room. You already know what time it is. It's time for you to pause. It's time for you to breathe deeply. And this is your sacred check-in. So welcome to another episode of Come On in the Room with Dr. Antoinette Marie Williams. And today, as we've been advertising all week, we have a special guest that we're going to have a conversation with about presence and being able to be present. And today, we're talking about being present, but also how sometimes it's not always easy. So, first things first, we've done our breathing. We want to be able to just slow down just for a moment. Some of you may be in your vehicle. You have found me on YouTube. And let me say a little bit about that. We had someone on last week when we launched the day of our podcast. Someone asked, well, are you on other social media outlets? Come on in the room with Dr. Antoinette Marie podcast. It's not. You can only find this on YouTube under Come On in the Room with Dr. Antoinette Marie. So share with ones that you love and ones that may be having a little bit of a challenge. So this week's conversation is all about presence. It's all about reclaiming it, practicing it, and understanding how powerful it is for your healing and for your well-being. Because the truth is that many of us are here physically, but mentally and emotionally, we are somewhere else entirely. Have you ever had that situation where you're talking to somebody and at the dinner table and you say, hey, are you listening? Sometimes people are in far, far lands, and what happens sometimes is that in the brain, we have something called the amygdala, and it gets hijacked because we have so much going on that we are not concentrating on what's right in front of us. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about being present. And let's start here. What is presence? What is being present? And so I want to say this is that presence isn't perfection. If we could get 120,000 of you to understand that presence doesn't mean perfection. Presence is you choosing to notice, to return, and to breathe into that moment. So I want you to think about that, because a lot of times I remember when I was in school, elementary school, and the teacher would say my name and we would say present. We raise our hand and say present. Are you present right now? Are you juggling 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 different things? Okay. So I want you to be thinking about these as we're having this conversation. It's acknowledging what is right now and what is true. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to try to pivot it. You just need to notice it. So, I spoke a little bit about the nervous system, but I also want to say this is that your nervous system can't regulate in the past or the future. Did you all know that? Your nervous system can only regulate itself in the present tense. Your memory can do recall, but your nervous system can't regulate in the past. It can't regulate even in the future tense. And so that's why presence is medicine. It is your return to safety. Sometimes I hear people call it and they'll say, stop daydreaming. And I'm not saying daydreaming is bad. What I am saying is that being present and being able to just sit is true medicine. It's actually your return to safety. When sometimes our brains are just bobbling all over the place. I got to do this, I got to do that. Have you ever had a situation where perhaps you are getting ready to fall asleep? And that's interesting that sometimes it happens when we're getting ready to fall asleep, right? And so you're lying in the bed and your brain just is not stopping. Your body is trying to rest, but that brain is popping all over the place. Well, tomorrow I got to do this. What am I wear? How I'm going to do my hair? Do I got to go to the bank? How I'm going to get out of the road? The cul-de-sac is this. How, when. So today I'm going to teach you how to stay present, right? One, through breathing. And you hear a lot of people talk about breathing exercises. And I heard someone a couple days ago say, I breathe every day. Yes, but your breathing is not always intentional. So, through breathing, you can help yourself stay present. Through your own body awareness, you can help yourself stay present. And choosing not to multitask. Baby, not to multitask every sacred thing in your life. How I'm gonna do this? So you got the baby on the one hip, you got your purse on the other hand, on the other arm, you got a cell phone on your ear. Come on, right? Multitasking is a destroyer of that nervous system. There's nothing sacred about it. And I know a lot of times people feel as though, well, if I'm busy, then I feel and I look better. I look more important. Come on in the room. Nobody is caring about how important you look. You have to not care about what other people think about you. You deserve to taste and to sit down and to drink your tea and just look out the window, to watch light move through your window, and to truly listen to the person in front of you. That's yourself. That's what presence is. And that's very powerful for you to slow down. The other thing is, I want us to think about what's keeping us from being in the now. So let's be real about it. Many of us, we have busy schedules. We like to stay busy. I think I even seen a hashtag where somebody was like, "Oh, staying busy. That's what I like to do." Busy has not necessarily helped us to be productive. Because you're busy don't mean that you're productive. Because you're busy doesn't necessarily mean that you are doing something that you should be doing. So staying busy sometimes can be a distraction because being present can be uncomfortable. So remember, this is coming on in the room with Dr. Antoinette Marie. I know some of this conversation may be a little bit challenging, but I will reassure you that everything that I'm saying, it has been vetted. And much of this conversation comes from my own life experiences. I could give you studies from the Pew PEW Foundation and can talk to you very vividly about staying in the present and stress. But we're going to talk about chronic stress on another episode. So when we slow down, we can actually hear the thoughts. Sometimes when we're so busy, we're avoiding thoughts. We feel the feelings, but sometimes we become numb. We don't want to talk about it. Last week we talked about how to declutter. But, beloved, let me say this: you can't heal what you won't feel. Oh, yes, that's a hashtag right there. You cannot heal what you cannot feel. And I know that sometimes we have gone through so much in our lives and we want to continue to pack it down, pack it down. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to feel it anymore. I don't want anybody to bring it up. If you want to heal, you have to be able to feel it. Presence will require us all to sit with some truth. It's going to require for you to do that. And it might be asking you to grieve. You may have to grieve some things. I had an associate of mine. She found out that her aunt actually transitioned. She passed away. And in that passing, sometimes people feel grief. Everybody don't feel grief. But sometimes sitting in that truth, it might ask you to grieve. If you've ever lost a child, there is a grief. Allow yourself to grieve on that. To forgive. But what it gives in return is worth everything. But when you stop avoiding your life and you get boggled down with so many different things, you sometimes will stop living because you don't want to have what has happened to you in the past. You don't want to deal with it. I will tell you this: when you stop avoiding your life, that's when you'll start really living it. We can't avoid grief. We can't avoid pain in the world that we live in. So, today, one of the things that I wanted to concentrate on as our guest gets ready to come on in the room is there's a technique called 54321. And in this technique called 54321, it really talks about returning to presence. And this tool of 54321 really gives us an opportunity to have fun, but also it gives you an opportunity to make the processes of perhaps grieving, make them not as cumbersome, but also make it so that you're able to deal with the things that you're going through. I do my darnest not to say suffer, because suffering sometimes talks about long lasting. So, name five things that you see just as you're sitting in the presence of just hearing your voice. Remember the analogy that I gave about you just looking out the window? What are five things that you see? So if I looked out my window, which is there, I see trees, I see a butterfly, I see grass, I see a vehicle, and I see a house. This will cause you to slow down. This 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, it causes you to slow down. It causes you to breathe and be more intentional. Number 4, what are 4 things that you can touch? And I know some of you may be saying, this is so minute. It could be. But because it's minute, it is allowing you to slow down. 3, what are 3 things you hear? What are 3 things that you hear around you? Do you hear birds? Do you hear a candle flickering? Do you hear a ceiling fan? 2, what are 2 things you can smell? Now, y'all know I love to eat, and I love the smell of cornbread. Like that, what do they call it? I think it's like water cornbread. Somebody will put it when you look at this. It's a cornbread that you make on the stove. I love the smell of cornbread and the smell of coffee, though I can't drink coffee. And number 1, what is 1 thing that you can taste? So that's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. It probably takes you maybe 2 to 3 minutes. But if you do that every day, once during the morning or while you're at work, and just take that time just to be silent, just to relax. The 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, the 1 technique. So it can immediately ground you. And as you're doing that technique, I challenge you to say this out loud: I'm safe, I'm here, and I'm held. I'm safe, I am here, and I am held. Present. I would say to practice this until your body truly starts to believe it. Till your body says, you know what? I am safe. The things that are around me, I am safe. And if you're in a situation where you feel as though, hey, I don't really necessarily feel safe, if there is a place that you can go that will allow for you to be safe and allow for you to be here in that present moment. I used to hear my grandmother say, you're just such a busybody. Well, busybody ain't never got us nowhere. I don't know. I don't think being busy has gotten us in a lot of places. So I want you to think about those things as you are going through your week, as you're saying to yourself, do I really need these things? Do I really need another bag? Is that going to help me in my grounding? Is that going to help me to be present in everyday life? Probably not. No, it's no probably. It's not going to help you do that. So as you think about your own well-being, your hold, your body, your mind, your spirit, and your soul. Where do you see yourself in the next one day? How about that? So, as promised, we have our guest that is coming in the room on today. So today we have Miss Anna McKee. She is our guest speaker on today. Let's say hello to Anna.
Hi.
Hi, Anna. You look beautiful.
Thank you. You do too.
Well, thank you so much. We are delighted that you've decided to join us on today. And so, how did your week go?
My week was great. It was pretty productive. I am just getting over a little bit of a cold, but other than that, you know, it's been great. Can't complain.
Good, good. So before you came on, I was speaking about being present and being and living in the present tense versus being a busybody and just kind of doing everything. And as you are a community builder, and you'll in a minute tell us really what that looks like. Um, Talk to us a little bit about what does building a authentic community look like for you in this fast-paced world that we are living in, and how do you do that without losing yourself in the process? How do you stay present?
Well, I would say that when building an authentic community, the number one thing to start with is earning trust. So I am like a firm believer that even as far as like community, if you want to build community, especially in my role that I am in currently in, earning trust is a big thing. Just because if people know that they can trust you, they're more willing to be accepted, uh, accept you for like you or things that you have to offer.
Mhm.
Earning trust is definitely important in that aspect, and then also just being personable. I'm in
Mm.
a high leadership role. For people who don't know, I do work for Amazon as the area manager. So being personable is really important for people to understand that they can relate to you. They're more so prone to be able to like open up and share different things with you. So I feel like being personable and earning trust are definitely two key principles in order to like build community and you know have that effect on people.
How do you, so thank you for that. How do you, and particularly at such a large organization and company, so you doing all of that and you're responsible for multiple people, it sounds like. So how do you build that and then not lose yourself in the process? What do you do? What are some of the skills or techniques that you utilize with doing all that work and then you don't lose yourself in the process?
That is a great question because I feel like in our regular busy day, it's really easy to lose yourself in regards to like what you're actually passionate about. So I would just say like keeping what you're passionate about in the middle of everything else. So you can always find some type of passion in whatever you're doing. So for me in my job, specifically, I love engaging with people, building community and things like that. So that kind of centers me, just being able to have a little bit of passion on what I like to do in my day-to-day job. And then also understanding like boundaries and barriers to be able to, give yourself to work and give yourself to building the community, but also having time for like self-care. And just
Mhm.
having a space where you can come home and relax and just kind of be who you are. Also, just making sure that you're spending time with family or other different activities that you like. So it's great to be able to give your full self to work or to the community or to people, but it's also very important to also pull back and have those boundaries to be able to navigate like self-care and things like that. So that is really how or what has helped me.
Well, I tell you what, you have said a mouthful, about not losing yourself in the process of your 9 to 5 or your day job. And I don't think people talk enough about, I hear people talk about self care, but I also think that along with self care, as you have stated, family, that piece is important as well. And sometimes when we have been in the battlefield, I'll say, like with a regular 9 to 5, and then when we get home, sometimes we're just beat tired, but to be able to have conversation with family or with friends, that piece is also very important. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. So my other question to you is, how can you give us some advice on how can we recognize when our need to show up for others is starting to pull us away from showing up for ourselves?
That's a really good question. I somewhat struggle with this also. I would say that when you find yourself not being able to uh, truly like find time for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
show up for yourself, um, it's a very hard balance. I would say. I think that's hard for me to say just because it's a hard balance to find. I'm still trying to figure that out now. Work life
Yeah.
balance is pretty hard. I've always been that type of person where I kind of show up more for others than sometimes I show up for myself. So that is something that I am
Mhm.
working on. So honestly, I don't know if I'll be able to give the best advice to that. So let's ask you that question. Um,
Well, look at there. Come on in the room. I thank you for pulling that back to me. And I also thank you for your transparency. I think one of the ways we can recognize that we're showing up so much more for other people is that when we are in those small present and being present, we miss what we like to do. We miss what we used to do. And I think that many times, depending on how we were raised, we've seen people just do everything for everybody else. I saw that within my grandmother. She cleaned houses, she had her own business, but I cannot tell you one time that I saw my grandmother get a pedicure or a manicure. Not once. And thank godly that she's transitioned and she's in a better place. But I think what we do sometimes is we consider other people before we consider ourselves. And I think some of that is how can be how we were raised. Some of it is what we saw our parents do or the people that we were around the most. And so it really is up to us to change that. It's up to us to say, you know what, I love myself so much that I'm going to make sure that I spend time. And even if that's little stuff, even if that's journaling, give yourself 10 minutes just to journal and say, talk about these are the 10 things that I see myself doing today. These are the 10 things or 7 things that I really am proud of myself for doing today. It could be those small little things. And then we can build up upon that. It doesn't necessarily have to be these humongous types of statements that we're making or things that we're doing. It could be the small things. Sometimes showing up for ourselves is saying no. Ooh, come on in the room.
that's a good one.
Sometimes, oh, that was good. Sometimes showing up for ourselves can be just saying, nope, can't do it. No is a word, a phrase, and a sentence. Can't do it.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good right there.
I love that.
I do
No.
too. Just say no. You know. So you speak German. How do you say no in German?
9.
Nine. Say no, nine, and still no.
9. Yes. Absolutely not.
Okay, so my next question is, so talk to us a little bit about what daily practices or weekly practices that you believe can help us remain present, or and do you have some of your own daily practices that you do to kind of help you support yourself? I'm not talking about support the community, but to support yourself. What do you do?
Um, Daily practices, I'm really, really heavy on self-care. I think as of recently, I've really been into self-care. Um,
What do you do?
daily
Just
practice Daily practices for me would be staying close to the word, reading my Bible, journaling has been very heavy for me. Also, just making sure that I have a like calm and homey place to come back to. So my
yeah.
environment is something that's really important to me. So like even just going shopping for like aromatherapy candles. I make sure I do that like monthly. Self-care, I buy myself flowers every month, the start of the month. um So just like little things like that, making sure that I'm starting to, have a workout routine, even like meal prepping. Health is very, very important. So just making sure that you're taking your necessary vitamins. You can show up for yourself in so many different small ways throughout the day. And it starts with like the little things that can trickle down to bigger things that have a really great effect on not just you, your mental health, and your body. So, like I said, like for me, daily, just making sure that I journal, read my Bible, take my necessary vitamins, drinking water is so big for us,
Wow.
specifically for like Black women. We need to be drinking our water. We need to be taking our vitamins. Um, and yeah, also,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that if you look good, you feel good.
Well, come on in the room with that.
So making sure, even if you go to the grocery store, just get some snacks, get some fruit.
Right, exactly. Don't listen. You are doing a lot. You meal prepping. You reading the Bible. You journaling. You are exercising. You drinking water. Wow, you are doing some fantastic things. And not everybody can say that they're doing that. And I don't even do all those things necessarily every day. So I thank you for coming in the room with that piece of tea, just to let us know as a reminder to put ourselves first and to stay present. If it's okay, can I ask you one more question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, talk to me about um the ways that you're able to thrive personally. So I know that you talked a little bit about reading, your word and journaling. So can you thrive personally and spiritually while still pouring into others? And um, what does like a sustainable rhythm of giving and receiving kind of look like to you?
Everyone's rhythm would be different, but to me, I would just say like coming up with a balance. So naturally for me, I always want to pour into other people, but it's very important. Like pouring into other people isn't really something that I struggle with. It would be more so pouring into myself and then also being able to do both of those at the same time. So I think what's
Mhm.
really important is to start with you first and
Yeah.
then pour into others. So just keeping that at the core, making sure that you are grounded and well um, position yourself and then being able to pour into other people. So for example, like I pour into people, all my associates pretty much every single day, but I wouldn't
Mhm.
be able to pour as much as I could or would want to if I don't start with me first. So I feel like
Mhm.
for me, that just looks at just coming in with a balance and being able to start with me first. Those little
Mhm.
self-care things that I do that does pour into myself, build myself up, build myself up for me, and then I'm able to go and pour into
Mhm.
other people. So I feel like it really starts at home and then just coming up with a balance. Everyone's rhythm will be different. And sometimes it is very challenging to come up with a rhythm that works for you. But
Mhm.
trial and error is also very important um, to be able to find what you're looking for. How about you?
Yeah. You know what? I think that finding that rhythm is so important. And so for me, one of the things I think is so important. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to be touching a cell phone. I just want to wake up because now my system can, I don't need an alarm. Like your body, at some point, your body could say, you know what? It's on the routine. It automatically wakes up. But my main thing is that I don't want to be the first thing that I do is reach for the phone and get on social media or check the email. I just want to sit just for a little bit, even if that's 2 minutes, even if that's 5 minutes, and just say, God, I thank you that I woke up this morning, as my grandmother say, with my mind, all of my mind stayed in the presence of Most High. And that piece is really important. So that's what I do. That's the first thing that I do. I don't want to, and then I also just sit in silence, which is part of what we're talking about today. I just want to hear if it's birds. Just sit for, even if that's 30 minutes before my feet hits the ground, just to center myself. And this is a new day. And so, yes, and then you go, and then I pray and say, God, this is going to be a great day. Thank you for this day. Everything that I do and everything that I touch will prosper. And I've been making that statement and praying that for at least 35 years. And so that's kind of how I start, and then I go, you take a shower, you do all these routine types of things. But I will honestly say this is an area where I want to get better in this area. And as you said earlier, you can't truly take care of self. You need to start with taking care of yourself first. And I think that we are creatures of habit. It takes 21 days to change a habit. So I think we are creatures of habit. So really being intentional about, hey, you know what? This is my life. This is my day. And I'm going to do the best that I possibly can, but I'm going to start with myself. It's almost like whenever I know you travel a lot. So I think one of the things, if you've heard while you're on the plane, it always says like, you know, if there ever is a crash or whatever it says, I don't know, it's particularly what it says. It tells you to put your own mask on first. And so even the airlines are telling us how and what we need to do versus us sometimes, trying to take care of everybody else, trying to take care of everybody else. So I appreciate that. I know I said that was the last question, but I got one more. You got a
Okay.
couple of minutes. Okay. So talk a little bit about, so we can't have this conversation about being present and not talk about love. Love, love, love. So we're not trying to get all in your business. However, I think love is a beautiful thing. And one of the things that I say is that love is not just what you say, it really is how you demonstrate, it really is what you do. So, talk to us about how do you stay present if and when you're in relationships where you are that giver, like you want to see people do well, you want to see people happy. So how do you set those boundaries, and what boundaries, if any, have you set?
Love talking about love. I love this question. So boundaries for me is a really big thing. And I think as I've gotten older, specifically in my love life, setting boundaries is very important. And initially, it just depends. When you meet someone new, I think it's very important to communicate those boundaries. Communication is key. So some boundaries that I have set, I feel as if it's very important for me to also do a lot of self growth and self development inside of a relationship or any type of connection. So often, I feel like as women, sometimes we get into a relationship or get into dating people, and we almost get lost of trying to figure out what is
Mhm.
important to us, what do we need, and things like that. So just making sure that you set those boundaries in the beginning of the connection or the relationship, that hey, it is very important for me to continue to self-develop myself, so I will be taking time to prioritize myself. And let's say that is just if you live with them or if you guys spend a lot of time together, just making
Mhm.
sure that hey, I will be taking some time, still love you, still care about you, but it is very important for me to take time for myself, even in things that I want to do in regards to like health wise, my career.
Mhm.
um
What do
set
they
it
say? Like when you
set it on
say,
the
you
stage.
know what, like you, love you, but I'm going on a sabbatical for 2 weeks, and we're not going to be exchanging conversation. What do people say?
I think it's important to understand that if it's the right one, if it's the one, or if the person is for you, they
Mm,
will understand. Naturally, the
that's
person
good.
that you're saying that to should actually want to have those same boundaries for themselves.
Mm,
As we are growing and developing in like adulthood and things like that, and just everyone in their careers, whether that's entrepreneurship and things like that, um, I feel like for me, it is a priority for me to have a partner or even just people around me as friends that want to do that work, the self growth, and things like that. You are never too old to continue to learn. Um,
True.
so that is a really big thing. So usually, if it's the right one, absolutely, I completely understand. Now you will have some people that say, "Well, that doesn't work for me." Well, this doesn't work for me. so,
I
so
love that.
yeah, so just knowing, every connection that you come across, every relationship that you come across isn't going to be ideally the one that works for you, but you just have to stay grounded within yourself. Like we have been saying pretty much this whole show, that it's very important to stay true to yourself. And that's where you need to start.
I love that. Listen, I love that comment where you said, like, this is what I need and this is what I need. So either you got to get on this bus and we whoop whoop, or you may have to get off the bus, right? You may have to get off the bus. And I think that that's so important for all of us, not just, younger generations or whatever generation it is. We have to come back to ourselves. We see so much that's out here on social media. Everybody got money, everybody got something, everybody's doing something. But are those people really taking care of themselves, or is it just for show? And I'm so appreciative of you, having this conversation with us about, hey, yeah, you can have a 9 to 5 and you can have a regular job, or you can be an entrepreneur, but you still need to take time for yourself. And if you have someone, your significant other, or your wife or your husband, and they don't understand, like, I just need a little bit of time to myself, and not always feel like you have to get permission. My digital person in the back, I probably having a fit since I did that. But not always having to feel like I got to get permission. You should not have to get permission to sit wherever you are, to breathe deeply, to look out of a window and just say, wow, I see beautiful things. I talked earlier about the 5 4 3 2 1 technique. And in that particular technique, you look at things, you see things. What do I hear? What do I see? What do I touch? What do I feel? And what do I taste? So, if I want to just say to the audience as we get ready to end, is that if something or someone is saying to you that they want you to be they everything, you can't be somebody's everything, beloved. And that means you don't have nothing for yourself, because everything is everything. You can't be somebody's everything. You have to make sure that you stay grounded to your true and authentic self. And you know what? I just felt that sometimes people don't know what that is. Sometimes people don't know what their authentic self is or even looks like. So maybe we will have conversation about that. Because
And that's
what we don't want is pretenders.
absolutely. And another thing is, just to add on to that, it is natural for people to go through process of self-discovery. Nobody
Mhm,
has it all figured out. And
mhm.
naturally, when we, continue to go through our journey, we'll find new things about ourselves that we like, that we don't like. Um, so it's just important to give yourself grace also for that.
Mm, I love that. I'm hearing that a lot now, where people are saying, give yourself grace. Yes, because we give grace to so many other things in our life. We don't just give other people, hey, Michelle, we don't just give people grace, we give situations grace. When people have
Yes.
done us wrong, we're like, well, they did it because of this. Hold on, say what now? Uh, we make a lot of excuses for people. We
Yeah.
make come on in the room. We make a lot of excuses for people when they've harmed us or hurt us, and then we don't treat ourselves with the same type of candid respect. So I just want to say this. I want to give you one last word, Miss Anna McKee. Talk to the people if they have some ending words that you would like to say to encourage individuals to stay present. What would that be? You have the mic.
Awesome. So yeah, staying present is something that is really, really important to me. Um, Me and Dr. Williams have definitely had lots of conversations about staying present. It's very, very important to do that. Even the smallest of things, just appreciating the smallest of things, being able to wake up, um, go outside,
Mm.
smell the fresh air, be centered within nature. And I know a lot of people, some people don't get into in regards to like all the nature things, but just being grateful for the smallest of things. I think um we get so caught up with everything just being busy with work and kids or whatever else it is, our partners. But it's really, really important to just stop sometimes. And even in the morning, just thank God for being able to have another day.
I love
Um,
that.
so being present is very, very important. I encourage everyone who is watching to definitely take some of those tips that we've had and that we've discussed today about being present, being centered within yourself, and try them and see what type of impact it has throughout your week, your month, and just your regular day to day. So give yourself grace, be grateful, and be present.
I love it. Give yourself grace, be grateful, and be present. Anna McKee, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just going to leave you with this as our audience. Presence is your birthright. Peace is not something that you should have to chase, it's something you return to. Mm. Every time you breathe with intention, you are choosing you. So, as my grandmother would say, slow down. So, this week, take your shoes off, feel the floor beneath your feet, and breathe deeply. Don't just survive your days, live them. I love you, and I am rooting for you on this week. Well being is your birthright. And until next time, be present, be gentle, and stay in the room. This is Dr. Williams. I'll see you next time. Be well. Well, come on in the room. You've just stepped into a space where healing meets truth, wisdom meets experience, and soul care is always on the agenda. Hello, I'm Dr. Antoinette Marie Williams, transformation speaker, author, and your guide on this journey to wholeness and well being. Each week, we'll pull up a chair, pour into one another, and unpack real life conversations about healing, growth,